All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, August 9th. We have a 16-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of yesterday, we do have a positive day. You could say that we lucked into it to some degree here, but we go 4 and 3, making up just under a quarter of a unit of profit. So not a massive day, but a green one nonetheless. And I say we lucked into it because 2 of our 3 losses were 2 of our smaller plays on the board. That hits, runs, and RBI player prop parlay, and then the Cubs money line just being half unit plays. Everything else that we threw out there yesterday were 2 third unit plays. So yeah, we'll take it. I do love the fact that Yankees and Astros first 3 under came through. I feel like we were really all over that. Probably my favorite play of the day there. But like I said, just under, I think it was 0.23 units of profit. Speaking of profit here, the ride of the day, let's pump it some crowd noise here. The A's and the Orioles under 10 cashes for Relly here with the ride of the day. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. You just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. We also keep it tracked here on the official ride of the day tracker. You can see Relly's record there. If you win, we continue to roll with your plays and ride with your plays. If you do lose, you still get the shout out. But unfortunately, we got to drop the womp womp and we got to talk about a loss, which no one likes to do. But looking forward to seeing what Relly drops today. And even though we are riding with Relly, guys, it's still worth you getting your hashtag ride of the days down in the comments because you're helping out a ton of other people that are looking for plays on the daily. So go ahead and drop your favorite plays down below. But let's dive into this slate, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Game number 1 here of the doubleheader. Braves taking on the Marlins. Like I said, 16-game slate. It's because we have this game twice. On the mound for the Braves is going to be Hurston Waldrop going up against Ryan Gusto. I think Gusto's making his first Miami start. Even when they got him from Houston, they didn't know if he'd be a big league arm. I will say that the second game of this has a little bit better of a pitching matchup, Eric Fetty versus Sandy Alcantara. In this spot, I'm probably just leaning towards the Braves and the under, but I could see someone sitting there being like, well, I'm going to lean towards Miami because you're getting plus money, right? It is a spot in which I just think the Braves may be a little bit more consistent, or they're kind of coming into form. Miami, I know that they went on that streak and were winning a bunch of games and the offense looked great, but they're still kind of, I don't want to say all over the place, but all over the place to some degree, right? And I don't really love Gusto, but that's not to say that I'm sitting here being like, oh, Hurston Waldrop's going to be great. The under is on the board because I don't think either one of these offenses is all that tremendous. Even though I think the Braves are that much more consistent and they're at home, it's still not a spot in which I love. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. If we were to look at this matchup, I'm probably more interested in investing my time into the Alcantara and Eric Fetty matchup because those are 2 true big league arms, right? 2 big league arms. I can't even say that. But nonetheless, Braves in the under for me in this one. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up, we have the Yankees taking on the Astros. Yesterday, a 5-3 win for the Astros. On the mound today for the Astros is going to be Framber Valdez. He's going up against Luis Gil, who did not look all that great in his first comeback start, right? 3 in the third, 5 hits, 5 earned, 4 walks, only 3 strikeouts. Not exactly the best. Now, I will give him credit that in his small sample size against the current Houston Astros roster, 21 plate appearances against, 43% K rate, a .053 average against, a WOBA against of 107. So, yeah, those look really, really good, but I don't know if we can fully put our trust into Luis Gil just yet, especially going up against Valdez, who I would make the argument that Valdez is in a perfect bounce back spot. He'd looked really, really good for like 3 straight starts, and then the Red Sox got to him. 6 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned, and only 3 strikeouts from him. So I do think that Valdez probably bounces back here. I don't know how well. I think that we could see some runs late in this game as well. So I'm going to lean towards the Astros. I also like their team total over, and I also don't mind the over 7.5 just in general. For one real specific reason, I guess it would be if we take a peek at the dashboard here, which I'll explain a little bit later on in the video. We're going to get sinker, curveball, and changeup from Valdez, right? That just happens to be like 3 of the pitches that the Yankees are actually hitting well right now. Number 1 in the league against the curveball last 30 days, sinker number 4, and then top 5 against the change. So I could see the Yankees putting up a little bit of their own, and we saw Hader, Abreu, and Sousa come from the bullpen in that game, yesterday. So I think that we could see some runs late. This is not to sit here and say that I think Valdez is going to get dinged up, but even if he pitches, 6 innings and allows 2, which would be uncharacteristic, I think that we could kind of lead to an over 7.5. So I'll lean there. I don't know if I'm in love with any three of those. If I had to pick one, probably Houston team total over, because that way we don't have to worry about their bullpen or anything like that, and we just have to focus on Luis Gil potentially blowing up again. But let's not forget that Gil is very, very good. He just did not look good in that last start, in his first start of the year. All right, we have an interesting one here. Giants taking on the Nats. Carson Wisenhunt on the mound for the Giants. I believe he's making his third start. He's going up against Brad Lord. Brad Lord has not been bad, really. Like, even over his last 5 starts here, he's pitching 5 innings, 4 hits per game, 2 earned, about 3.5 strikeouts on 1 walk, right? So I don't really understand this price all that much, unless you're going to say, well, the Nationals offense is that bad in a sense, right? 2 straight games of 0 earned, 0 runs scored. Before that, they scored 2 against the Athletics. So that I can understand, but are we going to just act like this Giants offense is going to keep doing what they're doing? They might. I get it. But to me, this is a really, really weird price. So I do lean towards the Nats in this spot just because you're getting them at plus 150. I don't think that I have the cojones to drop that myself. You know what I mean? But I don't love the idea of a young pitcher for the Giants, still with an inconsistent offense, against a pitcher that actually has been pretty good, paying nearly minus 160, right? So it's just Nationals for me by default. I don't mind the idea of an under. When I say I don't mind it, like, this actually could be somewhat of a final play, because if Brad Lord pitches well, I don't think I could throw a good game against the Nationals potentially, right? This offense looks bad, like we already discussed. So this could be like a 3-2, 4-3 win if the Nationals were to be competitive in this one. And even if they're not, this is the good part. The Giants could go out there and score, 5 runs, and I could be totally wrong with leaning towards the Nationals, but that doesn't mean that the Nationals contributed their part and we still hit the over, right? So I think there's a lot of ways in this matchup to get to an under, even if we totally are off the wrong, path in terms of trying to protect the Nationals to win it. So yeah, give me the under in this spot, but Nationals by default. I do not love that price with the Giants. All right, Tigers taking on the Angels here. On the mound for the Tigers, we have Charlie Morton, who really did look good in that first Tigers start, right, against Philadelphia. He went 6 innings, just 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, no walks. That was the game in which Chris Sanchez pitched 8 innings, Sunday Night Baseball, I believe, right? On the other side is going to be Yusei Kikuchi, who's coming off of a very, very good start here against Tampa Bay. 6 innings, 7 Ks, just 1 earned. Now, he's been a lot better, and I mean a lot better at home this year than on the road. He's on the road today, in which he has a 1.61 whip, an average against of 275, a walk rate of 12.5. So I would be concerned a little bit about Kikuchi, but I also think that this this Angels lineup is doing all right in terms of contributing their part of totals right now. So I like the idea of, yes, the Tigers, because I think that they're home, and I think that their lineup might be a little bit more consistent, and Kikuchi struggles on the road. But that being said, I think that this, Angels lineup can maybe get to Charlie Morton. He's pitched really, really well. I know I gave him his props, but let's not act like Charlie Morton has been phenomenal this season. If he gives us 6 innings of 3 earned, it's almost like everyone wins, right? Because then we turn it over to a late inning where, nothing against the Tigers bullpen, but I do think that, with the Angels bullpen involved, we could see a lot of runs later on. So yeah, every kind of which way, I think that we could pick away at a total here, because it's not like I want to sit here and tell you guys that the Tigers are going to go out there and maul Kikuchi, but Kikuchi's on the road, he struggles there. It's not like I want to sit here and say that the Angels bats, who have been kind of up and down, but they've been a little bit more consistent lately, are going to go out there and maul Charlie Morton. No, but they might be able to pick away at him, and then we get to the bullpen and continue to pick. So this is like one where I think we'd have to grind out an over 8.5, but I like the Tigers in the over. And then Joe Adell, yes, he kind of crushed us last time we took him. His first at-bat, he hit a home run, but I like the spot here. We're going to get a ton of curveballs out of Charlie Morton. We know that. Joe Adell, his WOBA against the curveball this season, just 137, striking out 44% of the time. So that's definitely a spot in which I'm considering a final play. Pirates taking on the Reds. Pirates coming off a win yesterday, 3-2. In fact, they've won both games now in this series. 7-0 in that game one with Skeens in the bump, and then Mitch Keller pitches 5 2/3, 3-2 win yesterday. Today, the pitching in this one's a little bit different. Braxton Ashcraft on the mound. He's only made 1 start. He's come out of the bullpen for most of the season, going up against Nick Martinez. Now, Nick Martinez isn't necessarily anything to write home about in this situation. He's been really bad on the road this year, and he struggles against righties, and there's a decent amount of righties in this Pittsburgh lineup. So I do kind of fear that, but at the same time, I don't think that this Pittsburgh offense, though they've looked okay, and we keep talking about it, and I feel like an idiot every time I say it, I still don't think it's a very good offense. So I think the Reds probably win this one in a low-scoring game. Even when we get to the late innings, you just kind of have two mediocre bullpens. The Reds did throw Ashcraft and Santillan yesterday, and Pirates went with Santana, but he should be okay to pitch again if they need him, and Moretta and Nicholas yesterday. So they still have fairly fresh bullpens. Like I said, they're mediocre, middle of the pack. When I say mediocre, I don't mean like bad. I just mean not good, right? Or not great. So I think that we could still see the bats kind of struggle to score on both sides. And the only way I really see the Reds winning this game now is kind of one of two things. If they go out there and put up a decent score, which at this point, it seems like if they score like 4 or 5 runs, that's decent for them, right? Or the Pirates just go out there and kind of drop a dud and doesn't matter what the Reds score. Both of those kind of look like an under type of a game for me in those scenarios. So Reds in the under, but realistically, if someone likes the Pirates today at home for plus money, they've been the better team the last couple of days. So I would not, if I'm sitting at a bar with someone and they're like, hey, I'm on the Pirates today, I'm really not trying to convince you. I just don't exactly see it that way. Next up, we have the Orioles taking on the Athletics. Brandon Young on the bump for the Orioles, going up against Jack Perkins, who only has 1 start under his belt this season, but he has pitched plenty in relief, I think like 10 appearances. Brandon Young is no bueno, okay? So I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you that, Jack Perkins making his second start is going to be phenomenal, but I do think in a near pick'em, this is probably a spot in which we can fade Brandon Young. I would say Athletics, but I also don't mind the over in this one. We've already seen that this bullpen isn't all that great. Again, I just said that Jack Perkins is not the creme de la creme of pitchers here either. He does do really, really well against lefties, so guys like Jackson Holiday, Gunnar Henderson, I could see them struggling today, but realistically, Westberg, we have Mountcastle, any of these righties in the lineup could do all right. So I do think that I still lean over. Again, I don't think that these bullpens are all that phenomenal. We did see a low-scoring game yesterday, so time for both squads to bounce back. But in a pick here, I believe you can get plus 105 for the Athletics. Yeah, it's like I'd rather the unknown with Jack Perkins than laying even the slightest amount of juice with the known from Brandon Young. Brandon Young's recent starts, again, just are very, very bad. Now, he's coming off of a good start. I forget who it was against, but it was in Wrigley with really, really bad winds blowing in. But prior to that, he was kind of an automatic, maybe he's had 2 good starts in a row now I think about it. But either way, he was an automatic, like 5 innings, 4 or 5 runs, right? If he's getting better, sure, but I do still think that, he's due for some regression even after 2 good starts. So give me the A's and the over. I'm giving a little bit of the credence there to the fact that maybe Baltimore can kind of hit up Perkins as well, and throw in the fact that, these bullpens, I don't think we'll ever be out of it, even if we're like hitting into the 6th inning at, 2 to 3 type of thing. I think that this could still be something that comes through. White Sox taking on the Guards here on the mound for the White Sox. It's going to be Sean Burke. He's going up against Joey Cantillo. I think that there's probably some argument to be made that, the White Sox could have a more talented pitcher on the mound than Cleveland today. That being said, I can't really get to the White Sox side. This price for Cleveland seems like it's a steal because I do still think that they're a far, far better team. Now, yesterday, we kind of liked the idea of Aaron Savali on the White Sox, right? And he got hit up, and I mean real quick. I think he allowed like 6 or 5 innings, 5 earned in the first inning. So it was tough to sit there. I don't want to make that same mistake again. For me, it's going to be the Guardians. I like their team total over as well. Sean Burke, I do kind of trust, but again, handing it off to this bullpen, their ERA numbers are starting to look better and better, but they're still a bottom 10 bullpen this season in terms of whip, which I'd almost value a little bit more. Now, only a couple guys went yesterday. Hudson came in, and as well as Gonzalez, so some of their higher leverage arms are still good to go, but I still don't trust that bullpen. So I think that the Guardians, even if Sean Burke pitches well, can kind of post a decent number today. And again, Cantillo, do I really want to sit there and say that he's the better pitcher? I think Sean Burke may have more talent, but Sean Burke's been a guy that we backed this season plenty, and he's kind of blown up in our face. So it'll be Guardians, their team total over for me. And Luis Robert Jr., I do like his over hits, runs, and RBIs. First off, if we take a peek at the outlier screen, he's been absolutely crushing it, right? You can see last 20 games averaging 2.9 hits, runs, and RBIs here. Head-to-head, the number looks all right. He's averaging 1.85. That's dating back to last year. On the season, at home here, against a left-hander, he's done it in, 4 straight games. In fact, if we look at this, you can get a better view of it. 2 of those games against Cleveland, right? So I don't necessarily mind this spot for him. What I also really like is him batting .295 against lefties this season. Against the fastball, his WOBA jumps to a .367, changeup .342, curveball .347. Slider is the first pitch. He's only going to get that 8.1% of the time. That's the first pitch that we're going to see from Cantillo that he doesn't hit very well. Even using our pitch mix rating rating. You can see here at 6.8 on our dashboard. So I do like Luis Robert Jr. over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Does it kind of correlate to me like in the Guardians and all that? No, but in a vacuum, I think that could be a viable player prop today. By the way, guys, this tool is called Outlier. I have a link down in the pinned comment and the description. It is my favorite player prop research tool out there. It's better for, it's not just a player prop tool. This is all the games. You could dig in, look at games, their matchups, and, hit rates and all that for all these teams. You can even place your plays really easily right from here with one click of the button. But I love the player prop screen. You can come in here, look at any game you want, and say, okay, well, look at this. We got last 5, last 10, last 20, head-to-head, 2025 data, last year data in terms of things that are trending. You can kind of come in and click into something, see if it looks good, see the pitcher matchup, the pitching, the batter against that hand, the pitcher against the batter's hand, fastball, slider, curve in terms of the pitch mix. You can even get as nitty gritty as a heat map as to where that pitcher throws their pitches and how well the batter does against them. So go ahead and check it out. Again, that link will be down in the description as well as the pinned comment. You get 7 days free just by using that link. No code needed. Just use the link. That is Outlier. Go check it out. All right, Brewers taking on the Mets. Looks like we're going to get Frankie Montas on the mound for the Mets, going up against Tobias Myers for Milwaukee. This is still a price in which I look at that and I'm like, are they just not realizing that this Brewers team is really, really good? Like yesterday, right? That price made no sense. And today I still kind of think the same thing. Now we don't have that great of pitching on the mound for the Brewers, so I get it, but I'm still going to lean towards the Brewers. Now, if you don't want to trust Tobias Myers, which would make total sense, I get that. You could just take a peek at the Brewers team total over, because I do think that they have a good shot here to get to Frankie Montas. So again, he really hasn't been anything at all, right? So maybe kind of trim the fat way without having to involve Tobias Myers or anything like that would be to say, hey, just go have a good offensive day, Brewers, right? Right now this total's at 9, so I mean you're getting them at 4.5, I believe, for plus money. But I would definitely keep an eye on that 3.5 to see where that price goes, because right now it's at -170. If that thing moves to anywhere, maybe in the mid -160s, it might be something that that is worth pulling the trigger on, because this line has been bouncing around. So what does that say about what they expect from it? Not all that sure. But to be honest, 4 runs from the Brewers seems like it could be, clockwork. Listen to this. Last 10 games here, I think there's only like 2 or 3 in which they didn't. 3, there's 1, 5, 7, 3, 14, 8, 16, 3, 9, and 8. This team is playing really, really well overall offensively. So if we don't want to trust Tobias Myers, maybe we just take a peek at that team total over. If it's 4.5, I want it for plus money, or heavily juiced 3.5. But we got to keep an eye on what that price is doing. All right, Twins taking on the Royals. This is one of our winners. Yesterday, we had the over in this matchup. Today, we have Bailey Ober on the mound going up against Noah Cameron. Bailey Ober, I don't know. I used to like him. I don't think that there's been much to like so far this year. He's going up against Noah Cameron that has been kind of hit or miss. When he first was making his starts, he was looking really, really good. Now he's literally been like, okay, 4 earned, 0 earned, 4 earned, 0 earned. He's done that in his last 4 starts. So it is tough to fully have confidence in him, but the lack thereof of confidence from Bailey Ober kind of pushes me to liking the Royals in this spot. And similar to what we just talked about with the Brewers, if you don't fully trust Cameron, which I think I am going to be trusting today, you could look at that Kansas City team total over. I still like them to score runs, even if the Twins somehow pull a bunch off here against Noah Cameron. I like the idea of Salvador Perez over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs as well. If you take a peek at the Outlier screen, you could see he's been decent to this line lately, but this is what I'm really looking at. 27 plate appearances against Bailey Ober, 320 average, 333 on base, 8 hits, 2 home runs, and 9 RBIs. So I could definitely get behind, Salvador Perez today. But the Royals money line might be the simplest. Don't overthink it. Just roll with it. They have the starting pitching advantage, a comparable offense today, and I would say, late innings advantage as well. They still have Estevez, Urseg, many of those, the later inning guys, they still have them. So Royals definitely a chance of being a final play today. I just wonder if Noah Cameron, are we going to get the 0 earned Noah Cameron or the 4 earned Noah Cameron? I guess if we do follow the trend of 0-4-0-4, his last start was 6 1/3, 4 earned against Toronto, right? So maybe we're on pace and on track for a trend of 0 earned today. That'd be pretty nice. So give me the Royals, but again, team total over is definitely viable as well. Same thing with that Perez play. All right, next up we have the Rangers taking on the Phillies. Phillies getting a big win yesterday, 9-1. Today might go a little bit differently though, right? We have Jacob deGrom on the bump here for the Rangers. He's going up against Jesus Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo recently has been not all that great. I think he has like 1 or 2 good starts in his last 4 or 5. Jacob deGrom coming off of 2 really bad starts as well. Against the Angels, 5 1/3, 5 earned, 2 home runs let up. Then he played against Seattle, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned, 3 home runs allowed. I do think that he is the better pitcher in this matchup, and he has some really good numbers in 174 plate appearances here against this Phillies roster. So the current guys on the roster, he's got a 36.2% K rate, really good, a 6.3% walk rate, pretty damn good, an expected batting average against of 209, and an expected WOBA against of 248. So I do think that deGrom has the pitching advantage because Jesus Luzardo, I don't really love the spot for him. He's really bad against righties, a little bit worse on the road. Both are going to come into play today. He's obviously on the road, and this is a jam-packed lineup of righties. I believe they're going to have, I almost want to say, all righties except for Seager in the lineup today, because even their switch hitters will be righty against him. So I think this is a spot in which we could see some runs. I can't pass up Phillies at such a plus number, though. Like, you're getting one of the better lineups in baseball at, plus 120, plus 125. So that's why I do lean towards Phillies, simply the price. But over 7 might be something that I take a peek at today, because even if the Rangers are the team that, carries the weight here, fine. We don't need that many runs to hit the over here. And I still think the Phillies, even though they're going up against deGrom, 1, deGrom hasn't looked good in his last couple starts. 2, it's still the Phillies. They may be able to, one swing of the bat from Schwarber or Harper, put up some runs in a hurry. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of ways, much like we talked about a few unders earlier, a lot of ways to get to an under. I think there's a few different ways to get to an over here in this spot. So I don't mind this spot here. I know it's kind of a fade of 2 good pitching names, but I don't think Luzardo's in the best spot. And I do think deGrom, isn't exactly in the best spot either, even though he has some really good numbers against this roster. So yeah, if this was like 8.5 or even just 8, I probably wouldn't like it. But the fact that you can get 7.5 and even a 6.5 out there, it makes me lean a little bit towards that over. All right, we got the Cardinals taking on the Cubs yesterday. Cardinals win it 5-0. I think this one becomes a little bit different of a story, though. I'd like to think that this Chicago lineup kind of does a little bit better and bounces back from there. On the mound for them is going to be Colin Rea, who's been definitely hit or miss, but they're going up against Andre Pallante on the other side of things. So Pallante doesn't exactly have the best of numbers here. In 66 plate appearances against this Cubs roster, he's got just 15% K rate, which, yeah, we know he's not necessarily a big strikeout rate guy anyways, but a 10.6% walk rate, a WOBA here of 395 and an expected WOBA of 364, an average against of 310, an expected WOBA of 290. So I don't think it's all that tremendous from him. I will say he keeps the ball on the ground very, very well. So I could see him doing that again today, which might lead to some, smaller scoring innings, if that. But on the other side, Colin Rea here, 59 plate appearances against. His K rate and walk rate aren't all that great, but he's got an average against in those 59 plate appearances against the St. Louis roster of 173 and an expected batting average of 250, WOBA of 243. So I do think the Cubs have the starting pitching advantage, and I would say that they're the better offense. The St. Louis one I still can't fully trust. So for me, it'll be Cubs and their team total over. I'd rather take a peek at the Cubs than their team total over, though, but I kind of threw that in there in case you didn't like the idea of backing Colin Rea, right? To me, this is still a team in which, they do have big go-off ability in terms of scoring. They have good numbers against Pallante as well. And the St. Louis lineup, I just don't really see them competing. If we see a game like yesterday where the Cubs kind of put up a number early, kind of the inverse of what happened, right? Like St. Louis, I think by the 5th inning it was 3-0, then 6th inning it was 5-0, then no runs scored. I could see the exact inverse happening and St. Louis not being able to keep up with it. So give me the Cubs. I would say their money line before the team total, though. I'm kind of trusting Colin Rea today. All right, game 2 of the Braves and Marlins. We can talk about this one pretty quickly. I would say same thing that I like, right? Braves and the under. This one we have Sandy Alcantara and Eric Fetty on the bump. I do think Alcantara could pitch well here, leading us to an under. But still, for the exact same reasons I talked about it with the first game of the day, there still is, I think, a little bit more pop in this Braves lineup, even though I admit that the Marlins looked really, really good for a brief stretch of time there. I don't necessarily think that they're as good as they looked. Braves at home here, doubleheader. Do they have the starting pitching advantage? No, but that's kind of why I'm saying under. I think Fetty could do all right in general. So Braves in the under. Diamondbacks taking on the Rockies. Diamondbacks heavy favorites again, which makes sense, right? We do have Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound. I don't necessarily love the idea of minus 200 odds with him, but Bradley Blaylock on the other side of things, and I don't want to even take a chance with him. So I think this one's pretty simple. I don't necessarily have a money line or total, but maybe it's just kind of like a hybrid play here. Diamondbacks team total over. In terms of what you're getting for that, let me get the updated line and price for you guys while we're here, because it's going to be super high. This is probably a moot point. I don't know if we get get there. But yeah, you're gonna have to over 4.5 for -165. This Diamondbacks offense has looked pretty good. They've cashed that in 5 of the last 6, but for over 5.5, you're getting into plus money, and I don't necessarily know about that. So this is probably a spot in which I don't think we're sitting here identifying too much value in this one. Padres taking on the Red Sox. We have Michael King returning from injury. I believe he had like a nerve surgery or something, 68 DL. He's coming off that. Going up against Lucas Giolito. Now, Michael King was obviously pitching really well and is really good, and Giolito's been pretty damn solid as well. Both bullpens, believe it or not, this Red Sox team has one of the best bullpens in baseball right now. We know the Padres do as well, so usually you're not seeing these two words or team in total next to each other, but I like the Red Sox and the under. This Red Sox team is obviously really good, and they could go out there and tag up King, especially if he's only going to pitch a few innings. The reason I like the under is because even if King only goes 3-4 innings, we're handing the ball off to a pretty rested bullpen in San Diego and one of the best bullpens in baseball, if not the best, right? So I'm okay with that. Now, it is all the way down there at 7.5, and we are kind of treading the line there of, is Giolito going to continue to pitch well and all that? My answer to that is most likely. I mean, 110 plate appearances against, 18.2% K rate, 5% walk rate, average against, and again, 110 plate appearances, 196 average against. That's pretty damn good. So if the Red Sox can put up, 4 here today, I think we have like a 4-2, 4-3 type of a win from them. But again, I do think Michael King can pitch well. He's had a couple or maybe at least one rehab start there. I think he struck out 5 through like 3 innings too. So he should be okay. And again, the bullpens, even if he's not, the bullpen on the Padres side of things should be able to kind of hold down the fort. So give me like a 4-3 win for the Red Sox. This team is damn fun right now. I will say that. It almost stinks to like the idea of an under because I want to just be betting Red Sox money line and their team total over all day long. All right, Dodgers taking on the Blue Jays. Blake Snell on the bump here for the Dodgers. He's going up against Chris Bassett for the Blue Jays. Blake Snell, in his last start, 5 innings, 3 earned, 8 strikeouts. That was the first start in a long time. Chris Bassett has looked okay at times, and he's looked really good at times. He's been a little bit of a mixed bag, but he's coming off of a damn good start. 1 earned over 6 innings, 5 strikeouts against Kansas City. I would say just for the price, the Blue Jays probably worth considering today. I think you can get them at like plus 145. Yes, Blake Snell is very good, but this is still a Blue Jays offense that I have a little bit of trust in. I think that the Dodgers offense may be coming into form, right? They win yesterday 5-1. Are they still the Dodgers that we know and love/hate? No, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to lay a dud here, so I lean towards the over. And then Bo Bichette, in terms of his hits, runs, and RBIs, I love the fact that he hits the changeup and the curveball really well. He bats well against lefties, so that's great because Blake Snell is lefty, but we're also going to get the change 22.1% of the time and the curveball 22.5% of the time. So, 45-ish% of the time, he's going to see one of those two pitches, and he has a 14.8 runs above average against the curveball here, and then an 8.4 against the changeup. I love both of those secondary pitches for him today, so I don't mind the idea of him over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, last game on the slate, guys. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 27 down below. Really do appreciate you. Tell you guys all the time, when you comment that number, it seems like it's just a number to you, but you're pretty much telling me that you spent nearly a half hour with me, which I really don't take for granted. So really do appreciate it. Comment 27. We get the Mariners taking on the Rays here. In this one, it was a low-scoring game yesterday, 3-2. I could see something similar happening again today. We have Logan Evans on the mound, who isn't all that bad. He's been in some sticky situations so far this season. He's going up against Joe Boyle, who I actually am kind of liking as a starter here. So I don't mind the idea of both of these guys going out there and pitching fairly well. The bullpen is a little taxed on the Mariners side of things. You can see via our dashboard right here, which, guys, by the way, GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area, code DASH. You get this for $2.99 per month at the first month, and then it changes to $6.99. So not per month, I shouldn't say that. The first month is $2.99 with code DASH. Look at this. A couple days ago, a lot of guys, what did that have been? Thursday, a lot of guys pitched. Not so much yesterday, but both bullpens are fairly rested. You have both offenses that don't look all that great. The pitch mixes don't look all that great for the offenses. So again, I think that this could be a spot in which we consider another low-scoring game. You can get this at 8.5 right now. That I don't mind. I've also seen some 7.5s out there. So this thing's moving around. It's a pretty big, margin in terms of especially a key number. So I'm going to lean towards the under in this spot. I like the Mariners, though, because I do think that their offense is better. And if they do have a need for timely hits, I think that they're going to be the team that kind of steps up to the plate. Pun, I guess, intended. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. We make these videos every single day, grind for you guys, and we're building the damn great community. So really do appreciate you if you are becoming part of that. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.